Hello, everyone. This is Launch Codes First on Football with a bit of a solo podcast tonight. Yeah, our schedules kind of got a little intertwined, a little messed up. So the Super Bowl coverage at the moment will just be on my shoulders. My name's Daniel. Hopefully, Chelsea will be back to discuss her thoughts about the Super Bowl. If not this week, definitely next week. But yeah, the NFL season is officially over. The season is officially done. And unfortunately, we went out with a whimper instead of a bang. Everyone thought it was gonna be. Everyone was hoping for a good game. Everyone was hoping for, Seahawks, New England, something like it was 7, 8 years ago, like coming down to the last second. I was making jokes for like the past few weeks of Sam Donald, do not throw the football at the 1 yard line if you're down by four. But no, we didn't even get that. This was fairly. I'm not gonna say boring. Actually, it wasn't boring, so to speak, but it was very one-sided. This was a very dominant performance. Seattle wins the game 29-13. And honestly, the fact that New England scored 13 points is kind of because Seattle took the foot off the gas, honestly. Um, we had, because Chelsea hosted a Super Bowl party at their parents' place. I was there in attendance. Um, we figured like by the third quarter, mid-third quarter, like this could be the first Super Bowl where there's a shutout. Seattle's defense just looked like ferocious going after Drake May and the Patriots offense. Will Campbell and that Patriots O-line did not do them any favors. That was probably not since probably Super Bowl 20 with this 46 defense. The Bears have the Patriots look that bad on the offensive line. I don't even think the Super Bowl upset 17-14 against the Giants in '08, 07, '08 was even that bad. May just looked like he didn't have time, and for whatever reason, and maybe it's just me watching the game. I feel like he wasn't really scrambling that much. Maybe he started scrambling more at towards the late in the third, in the fourth quarter when the game was kind of already out of reach. Well, I'm not even gonna say out of reach because most of the game was 12-0 at before the fourth quarter explosion of points. So I didn't say it's out of reach. This was not a good day for Drake May. This was not a good game for him, and for someone who was arguably the MVP. Like people, Matt Stafford won the MVP, but a lot of people are trying to push May in to be the MVP of the league. And for someone who faced tough defenses throughout this entire postseason, he faced arguably the best two defenses in football with the Denver Broncos and the Houston Texans. But honestly, Seattle, I guess they're number two and number three, and Seattle's number one at this point because Seattle just destroyed him. It was painful. It was clear he looked like a second year player out there, honestly. And that was something that was somewhat surprising. And I think that also goes to a point. Um, yeah, Matt Stafford deserved that MVP. No one, like Matt Stafford, to his credit, the Rams lost 2 out of 3 against the Seahawks this year. It was not because of Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford put on light shows against that Seahawks defense, which is insane when you think about it. Like, because Seattle's entire defensive squad looked um, Kenneth Walker won the MVP, but honestly, you could have picked one or two players on that defense, or you just the entire defensive front for Seattle to win the MVP. But no, K9 wins it. K9 had a great postseason. I give him credit. I give him credit to that all the way. I give credit to my old friend, my old writer and friend Andrew. He was high on K9 in college, and he said, "You just trust this. This guy's really good." And he's been good in the league. It's questions about him staying healthy, but when he's healthy, he was running the ball like a K9, like a dog. Over 100 rushing yards in every single postseason game, a deserving MVP, easily the best offensive player on either side of the football. I'm sorry, Jason Meyer fan. I wanted to see the kicker Super Bowl MVP too. We all wanted to see it, but no, we had to. It was going to go to K9, and I'm so upset that last touchdown run did not count because it was a holding penalty. Because if he would have gotten that run, he ended the game with 27 carries for 135 yards, as well as two catches for 26 yards. So he would have broken the Super Bowl record, which is Timmy Smith. He had two. I think Timmy Smith had over 200, like 210 or 216 or something. So he probably would have broken the record, but he would have gotten close to it. He would have gotten within 30, 40 yards of it. And he's easy, and K now is easy the best player on. the best individual player, I would say. I think the Seahawks defense as a whole, as a unit, did great, but there really wasn't a single standout player. But yeah, Kane Allen's the MVP. Drake May just again looked like a second year. Stafford proving again he deserves the MVP. Sam Darnold. Like this wasn't even like a spectacular game. I think this is a good game managing game for Sam Darnold. Um, so he didn't turn the ball over. May turned the ball over, I believe, three times in the game. Two or three times in the game. Granted, one of them was more of a garbage time turnover, but but yeah, at the end of the day, Sam Darnold, he did his job. His job, he knew what to do. Um, Jackson Smith and Jigba missed most of, I feel like he was on the bench for a good half of the game with an ankle injury, which is insane. If you told me going into this game that Jackson Smith and Jigba had four catches for 27 yards, I'm like, oh my goodness, this isn't good. Um, it's like, oh, Seattle's in trouble. If you told me Matthew Stafford only completed 50% of his passes, like, oh wow. But no, overall, like overall, he did a good job managing the game. The first quarter and a half, I say he was a bit of a little bit shaky. He did have the early field goal drive to start the game, but after that, it kind of stagnated a bit. It was literally 12-0 by the start of the fourth quarter, and yeah, that was just like. Yeah, that was insane. But comparatively speaking, maybe just because May on the other side was not having the best game, Stafford, Darnold, I would give a solid pat on the back, solid B minus for the game. Again, I just have to go back to May because I feel like if New England had a chance to win this game, May would have had to step up big time. And honestly, that entire offense was not doing anything. The Patriots ended the game with 18 carries for 79 rushing yards, and most of them were just May scrambling around late in the game, late in garbage time. Am I crazy? Like I feel like he's a good scrambling quarterback. He's been a good scrambling quarterback for his first 2 years in the league, and that for whatever reason he just decided he maybe he didn't have feel like he had the space. Maybe he felt like getting the kept looking down the field, just trying to buy time. But no, it was not a good game for May. It was not a good game for the Patriots offense as a whole. Um. I'm not sure how much is in terms of scheming versus just personnel on the field, but yeah, Seattle just showed out. This was like Legion of Boom kind of stuff. I know like you don't invoke the Legion of Boom unless it's something crazy. That Seattle defense looked insane. That Seattle defense looked amazing tonight. Um, so I guess what does this take for the future in one ways? Because New England goes from having one of the weakest schedules in NFL history to now having to a first place schedule and all the pressure to try to get back into the postseason. Buffalo's going to retool and Buffalo's going to look a little better. The Jets and Dolphins are a bit of a building right now, so they only have to worry about really one team in the division. So I think they should be fine in terms of future going to making the playoffs, but just think about the AFC overall. That's going to be KC is going to rebuild this offseason, and maybe they do something. I like KC, maybe it's still like a year away from seriously competing for a title again. Broncos look really good. The Chargers, once they get their O-line healthy, maybe add an extra pass catcher, they look really good. The AFC North, you still got the Ravens coming back with their new team, and the Bengals did they do something with that defense? They couldn't do something. Pittsburgh and Cleveland to me are more for rebuilding phases. The South, you still got Jacksonville. So Jacksonville had an amazing season. Um, Houston looks like they're going to take a big step up. It's going to depend a lot, same thing in Chargers, how the quarterback plays in the postseason, but they have the personnel. Maybe they just need to add another weapon on offense in terms of a running back or a pass catcher. But defensively, they are just as good as Seattle. And I'm Chelsea in here, but I wouldn't sleep on the Colts just because. if Jones comes back and can play like mostly what he did before his Achilles injury, the Colts, what were they? They were 9-2 before everything went down after the injury. So in terms of making the playoffs, I'm not worried about doing it. Mike Vrabel's still a great coach. May's only gonna get better. This is his second year, so I don't think he's clearly gonna get better. But I do have a lot of questions in terms of he didn't have a good postseason really. He was facing the toughest defenses in football, but even then, it seemed like he was getting worse every game. The Chargers game, he was good enough. The Houston game, that was more Patriots defense, CJ Stroud more than anything, and one really great one-handed catch in the end zone for a pass from May. Denver, he didn't have a good game whatsoever. It's just he got lucky and they were playing Jarrett Stidham, and that team just then the snow came in the second half, so there wasn't much Denver could do. In this game, he just didn't couldn't do much in terms of handling Seattle's defense. So man's gonna have a lot of questions this postseason. This postseason, a lot of questions about this postseason going to the spring and summer. For Sam Darnold, this is an amazing comeback story from NFL draft bust. Jets kick him out of town. Panthers kick him out of town. He goes to San Francisco basically just to lick his wounds and be a backup. He goes to Minnesota. He has a great year in Minnesota, but it ends kind of hectically because you lose the last game of the regular season to lose the division, and then you get knocked out bad in the first round of the playoffs. So, and then they just basically kick you out the door trying to start again with start with their rookie quarterback in JJ McCarthy. He goes to Seattle. Not many people give Seattle a chance, honestly, because Seattle kind of want Geno Smith. Man, that's a turning doors, closing doors. What happens if Geno Smith re-ups with Seattle? Where does Sam Darnold even go there? But this is an amazing comeback story for the former draft bust, former I'm seeing ghosts, former USC product. It's just I love to see a great comeback story. And I'm happy that Jets fans aren't really that upset. Maybe because they're well, I'm not gonna say maybe. Definitely because they're playing the Patriots. Definitely because they don't want to see New England win a seventh Super Bowl. So they're gonna go hard for that guy that they ran out of town. But yeah, I feel like most Jets fans, at least the ones in my life, were like, yeah, come on, Sam, let's do it. Like you won't go do anything in New York. We didn't have a team around you to do it or the coaching around you. So Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl champion. Words that would sound crazy 3 years ago. New England is back in the Super Bowl. Mays, like again, New England. I'm not that worried about them. To me, they're a little bit ahead schedule, a little bit like a year ahead schedule. Seattle, it's gonna be a fun seeing how the Rams re up, seeing how um in the AFC West and AFC NFC West. San Francisco come. Hopefully they're gonna come back healthy. Hopefully they're gonna move that practice facility. The San Francisco gonna come back healthy, and then the Rams are gonna try to be up. Rams probably have another year or two left with Stafford before he hangs them up. So they're gonna try to sneak one more title run in there. Washington's probably gonna get back healthy. Philly, hopefully, is not gonna have a. Philly's just gonna become the new San Francisco Giants, which every other year they go win the championship, and the years in between, they just go look pathetic. Um, I'm not gonna sleep on Dallas, at least in terms of offensively, they look like a champion team. It's just on the defensive side of football, they're going to do a lot of changes, which they're going to do in the draft. In the North, the Bears are going to come up to cardiac Chicago Bears with Caleb Williams. Green Bay is going to hopefully get healthy, and Detroit is going to figure out how to kind of make do with how Detroit's trying to go have to try to replace their coordinators from the year before after Aaron going on the defensive side and well, why am I blanking on the Lions old offensive coordinator, the Bears new coach? I feel so bad blanking on his name right now because he's honestly might be the coach of the year, at least in terms of he could have been in terms of was bringing that team all the way back. Ben Johnson. There we go. It's my name. It's my freaking name. It's literally just instead of it's Dan Johnson, Ben Johnson. It's literally my name minus two letters. Oh wow. Can't you tell it's kind of past midnight? Uh, but yeah, so I think we have a lot of questions to see in terms of who's going to come, which one of these teams is going to take a step back. Is Patriots going to have a Super Bowl hangover? Will Seattle have kind of a Super Bowl hangover from after winning, or they're going to try to shoot for back to back? Um, I don't believe that. I'm still confident that both these teams, at least New England, I'm more confident in New England just because how weak that division is than I am Seattle. But Seattle just had this explode. Seattle just looked like an amazing all-time team the last what month and a half of the season. Even more than that, honestly, they just looked awesome. And they're champions now. They're now two Super titles and in five appearances. So there's two for four right now. Two for two right now. Two for three because they lost to Pittsburgh in '05. Yay. And they lost to New England with the 1 yard interception. So yeah, they went this is fourth Super Bowl and they've won two and they lost two. New England, this was their 12th Super Bowl and they're 6-6. New England has been to a number of Super they have well obviously even before Brady, they went to a number of Super Bowls, but they have even with Brady, they would lose a couple. So it's been one great season, and we close out this season with honoring the class of 2026, the Hall of Fame class. We have four players that we all grew up watching. If you're a kid of 2000 or 2010s, you grew up watching these four players, and one veteran committee guy, and one veteran, quote unquote veteran, he played in the 80s. And well, let's just go through the list. Quarterback, we got Drew Brees, probably the most accurate quarterback in NFL history. He retired with a bunch, basically all the passing records. He still has the record for most consecutive games with a touchdown pass. Um, Almost like the Joe DiMaggio hit streak of the NFL. So Super Bowl champion, uplifting New Orleans after Katrina, bringing them from the laughing stock of the league to like a respectful team. Great comeback story. All respect to Drew Brees. Roger Craig. This is a guy from the 80s. I've been a Roger Craig fan, even though I never saw him play since watching all the old America's games. He was the first, not the first probably back that could catch out of the backfield seriously, but in that offense, he was the it was like it's like Christian McCaffrey. He's basically the prototype for like a Christian McCaffrey type back. This very strong runner with great hands, great route runner. The first running back in NFL history to have 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in a single season. The biggest problem with him, honestly, was just he played on the embarrassment of riches with his team. He was what three of the four Super Bowl teams for 49ers in the 80s. He had three touchdowns and I think in Super Bowl the one against Miami, the second Super Bowl one against Miami. He's a great passing and pure running back. His thing is like his last game as a San Francisco 49er, he had a critical fumble in the NFC Championship game that set up the Giants to win. And I think that kind of soured his career a bit. It'll be like if Jerome Bettis, if the last play of Bettis' career was the fumble against the Colts in the division playoff game. And if the Colts come down and win and make the field goal send to overtime and they win the game, that would be the last play of Bettis' career. And that's a terrible way to go out on. Then that might have cost him. Maybe that wouldn't cost Bettis a Hall of Fame, but I do think he doesn't have that play. He gets in sooner because he was that great running back in the 80s. Then we have my favorite non-Steeler player ever, Larry Fitzgerald. In my opinion, if Larry Fitzgerald had Kurt Warner for a decade, if he had caught like the good version, like hit the later version of Carson Palmer for a decade, he would have had all the receiving records. He would could there was nothing he could not do on he could run every route. He could go deep if he has to. He had the best hands of this generation. He has a stat for more tackles than he has drop passes because again his quarterbacks just do a lot of interceptions. He was trying out there some of the worst quarterbacks in football. He probably only had like five or six really solid QB seasons throughout his career. And the fact is, he's still top three, top five in basically every receiving category. he was an easy first ballot Hall of Famer. He had probably the greatest postseason run for any wide receiver in NFL history, and that miracle Arizona Super Bowl run back in 2009, where he just tore through the Falcons, he tore through the Panthers, he tore through the Eagles, and then he's my favorite non-Steeler ever play football, and that's only because the Steelers won that Super Bowl. Because if Fitzgerald caught that in route and ran 70 yards for a touchdown, and the Arizona wins that game, I would have torn up my Larry Fitzgerald jersey. I was like, I never want to see this man. It's the same thing with I'm a Maddox fan. It was the same thing with Dwayne Wade. I was a Dwayne Wade fan for like 5 years after the 2006 finals. It was only after the Mavericks won in 2011 that I'm like, I can like Dwayne Wade now. And Fitzgerald was this close, but thank goodness the Steelers won because man, like it's hard not to love a receiver just just awesome. To me, he is a Mount Rushmore wide receivers in my opinion. It's him, Rice, Megatron, and Randy Moss. That's my Mount Rushmore for wide receivers. Next we got Luke Kuechly. Again, when Carolina, him and Cam were the face of Carolina Panther football for almost a decade. Him and Mike and Patrick Willis were the two dominant middle linebackers of the post Ray Lewis era. One of the smartest players play football. First year, rookie of the year, second year, defense player of the year. Amazing, just stout linebacker. Retired early, which it hurt, but it made sense the way he played. It makes sense that he was going to want to spend like a Ray Lewis career where he plays 15 years. Like now, he's probably just thinking, I need to think about my health and my future. I made enough money, but man, watching Luke Kuechly play was awesome. And then finally, we got another kicker. We got the most clutch kicker in the NFL history, the Mariano Rivera kickers, Adam Vinatieri. Four Super Bowl champions, three with New England, one with the Panthers. Some of the biggest kicks in NFL history. He nothing to do with the money on the line, money on the table. I like that special teams getting more admiration, and it would be impossible. It would be impossible not to put in Alan Vinatieri, and then you remember, oh yeah, Bill Belichick didn't get voted in, but that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother conspiracy. But that's our class. And I think, again, if you're myself or you're Chelsea, you're a child of the 2010s, 2000s, you watch all these guys, you watch 4 or 5 of these guys play. For Chelsea, she watched Benetton play on her favorite team for over a decade. It's just, it's hard to be angry at. Belichick would easily make this an all-time class, but this is still a really great class of players. So. Yeah, that's a wrap up for the 2026, 20, or 2025, 2026 NFL season. Stay tuned more for Launch Coast football throughout this offseason. Hopefully Chelsea will get a chance to give her thoughts on both the Super Bowl and the Hall of Fame class. If not this week, definitely next week. T- I'm not gonna say this. I'm not saying this was the best Super Bowl, but you know what? We've been getting really good Super Bowls the past few years, for the most part. No, well, actually, no. Last year was also yeah. This is nothing. It's really the first time we've had back-to-back years of really bad Super Bowls. When was the last time that happened? It's hard to think what the last time that's happened at. But 2 straight years we get really bad Super Bowls. You usually get them one year, once every 3 or 4 years. But yeah, back-to-back years with the Eagles and Chiefs last year. That was another one-sided victory for the NFC. So hopefully next year we'll get you. A close game, a good game, because we've been spoiled. We used to get good games year after year after year. But now, but no, again, there's not much you can do when a team's getting after your quarterback. There's not much you can do for New England and for us. So it's a great game. It was a great season. We have that off season to all of off season to go through. It's 12:30. I have to go to sleep. So thank you, and we'll see you. Hopefully, and we're seeing you soon. Daniel signing out.